You have a player who wants to be the hero of the story by being linked to the big bad endgame. Is this necessarily a good thing, or is it perhaps one of the worst mistakes you can possibly make? Hello and welcome to this week's episode of How to Be a Great GM. My name is Guy, and today we're looking at a character, or at least a player in your game, wants their character to be a hero. And by being a hero, I mean as linked to the principal enemy that will be running through the campaign. Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? We'll unpack that in today's episode. Before we go any further, though, I do want to just take a moment to say thank you to all of our wonderful Patreons who support this channel. It is your support that, well, makes all of this possible. It really, really does. For those of you that don't know, as a little aside, I'm now full-time on the channel, and the reason that I am and capable of being full-time on the channel is because of the support of the Patreons and of you who watch these episodes. Now, if you do happen to have ad blocker on, if you wouldn't mind allowing it just for these videos, I know the ads are tedious, I do, and I know that I'm sitting there going, where's the skip button, where's the skip button, where's the skip button, where's the skip button, there's the skip button, skip. I do it myself, but those first 5 seconds are absolutely crucial, because that's the part that you actually get paid for. The rest of it, well, everyone skips it, right? Unless it's actually a good advert, and there have been a few that I must admit I have watched all the way to the end. I just wish advertisers realised what we wanted to watch, which is funny stuff, not sort of boring stuff. Anyway, if you can do that, then you are helping to support this channel even more, and we would certainly appreciate that. All right, so you want to be a hero, do you? Let's have a look. So the player says they want their character to be integral to the actual plot. They want to basically recreate almost every Hollywood movie ever made. They want to be central to the story. Now, you might have a sandbox plan where you don't have a you might not have a big bad end game planned. You may just sort of have random villains and things going along. But even then, if you have the PC as being integral to that one villain plot, you're going to have the same issues that you would have if the characters for the entire length. So let's go through it. So the benefits. What are the benefits? There are some amazing benefits of having a character integral to the actual plot and working with you. I'm the daughter of the Duke who's going to be trying to take over the entire star system. I'm, basically Obi-Wan's apprentice that didn't get seen in the movie but was needed for the sequel. Whatever, it doesn't matter. They want to be integral. So what does that give you? It immediately gives you an insta buy-in. The player's character is going to be invested in the story whether they really want to or not, because they have now landed in the middle of it. They are absolutely important to it. So you get this insta buy-in from the player. Now, the moment one player starts to buy into quests and things that they believe is important to the central campaign, they may be able to drag the rest of the players along with them on those quests. So there's no more kind of fight. Guys, look, the dog is barking at you and his nose is pointing at the well, and just go to the well. Go to the... You kill the dog. Okay. You're not going to have any of that. You won't have any of that. You'll have the dog comes running up. The player's character's integral is going to go, there's a dog. They run up. I look for a well. I run towards the well. I dive down the well, because they're going to be desperate to try and see that story of theirs play through. It's wonderful. So you get insta buy-in. You get hyper focus. Absolutely. The player who's so integral to this plot is going to be looking to see, how do we get there? If you can get the rest of the players to buy in as well, that they're there to protect the young princess or the young prince, that they are part of this journey, they're going to focus too. So instead of having this much sort of more, well, we could go there or we could go there, we're going to go shopping, you'll still get those. You'll definitely still get those, but there's a little bit more of a focus on the actual story itself. There's definitely a deeper connection that's going to form, because when things happen, the young prince walks into the keep and he's greeted by his aunt. Ah, Timothy, I see you've come back. Well, finally. Now, give Auntie a kiss. Yeah, God, freak myself out. So you get this deeper connection between the PCs and the principal quest line. because they're obviously involved in it. So those are some amazing benefits. Absolutely some amazing benefits. How lovely to have them. Now, I can tell you, I have done this in the past. I have run campaigns where one character or two characters, generally it's one character though, is absolutely integral, and they know it. They know that they're the son of the king or the whatever the case might be, and they go with it. So they know that, and it has created this fantastic buy-in. However, you also get the dangers of it. What happens if that PC dies? They're climbing one day arbitrarily on a side quest in the mountains. Their character slips, falls, fails their climbing check, fails their desperate grabbing at rope check. The party forgot to tie themselves together because, well, they just forgot to tie themselves together, and the character plunges to their death. Do you resurrect them? Do you bring them back miraculously? Or do you just go, the heir to the throne is dead? Well, my advice, of course, immediately would be to create or to let one of the other players' characters who's been part of this journey now step to the fore. The rebellion turns, instead of to Leia, they turn now to Brugu, because that's how he named aliens, to Brugu the Doog. And everyone looks at Brugu, and Brugu goes, "Ooh." You get the idea. If Leia had actually been killed by Grand Moff Tarkin after she had been interrogated, as he had threatened to do, rather than to put her in a cell and let her wait for a while because reasons, it would have been a very, very different Star Wars. But there would have still been a rebellion, and a hero would still have risen, hopefully. Perhaps Han would have gone on like this vengeance quest. No, he wouldn't have, because he hadn't met her at that stage. Maybe Luke would have gone on like this. You killed my potential girlfriend and future wife and mother of my children. I will kill you now because I've fallen in love with her hologram. Like her... Anyway, I get distracted. The idea is that perhaps you elevate one of the other PCs to becoming integral to the plot. What if the player leaves? So this was my case. I was trying to run a game here in Tokyo, and the one character who I'd made central to the story by a wonderful player got a job in another country, and so he left. And so the plot kind of went... If only because the other players hadn't necessarily been as involved in the game itself, and running games in Tokyo in real life apparently is quite difficult to ask any expat. Oh yeah, the game ran for about 2 sessions and then people got busy. It can also lead to favoritism, where the rest of the players go, well, you know, Brian's character is the chosen one, so the rest of us kind of, oh, we get side quests, and the GM kind of looks after us, but really it's his story, and we're just here for filler. And to make Brian survive. Yeah. As the GM, you have to make sure that you are actively working against that you are actively giving all of the PCs their own sub-stories as well, integrated into your main story. If your big bad end game is kind of a dragon, then maybe have a lot of the villains leading up to that have links to the other player characters. So the central player character still is the nemesis of the dragon, if you like. They are antagonistic towards one another, but then you have the other players who've got the villains that step in the way and that will attack and destroy them. So have a care that you don't just focus on the one star of the show, if you like. Make it a lot more like modern day shows where it's difficult to say who the lead character is. In the old days, it was easy. It was like, oh, that's the lead character. Now you go, well, I think it's this one, but it could also be that one. Who gets more screen time? It's equal. Must do that. You also have to be careful of not railroading the PCs. Now that you've got a buy-in from the players to your story, make sure that your players still have agency to go about and do what they want. Let them respond to situations as they will. There is a severe risk that if you go, all right, well, you are the actual daughter of the king of this entire kingdom, and you know that your father is trying to become a lich, and then the player goes off and does other stuff. They get sidetracked with other stuff. You can throw plot hooks at them, and hopefully they'll come to them, but if they don't then punish them for betraying you or not following the script. Because, well, you're supposed to stop this thing from happening, but you're not going anywhere near the Bridge of Doom. Why not? Oh, because, you know, the bunny rabbits need saving over there. What? I have no idea where these... just ignore me. I haven't had enough coffee, clearly. So the idea is that you need to be careful you don't railroad the story now that people sort of agreed to go along with a fairly railroady type of story. And then there's an imbalance. You have to make sure that you don't suddenly hold your punches for fear of killing the PC, or the favoured PC, because they are integral to your plot. And that certainly can happen. You go, oh, I don't want that. You can't die because you know all this. If they're going to die, they're going to die. If they're going to do stupid things, they're going to do stupid things. They're players. They should have the right to kill themselves. There's a slogan. So the idea is that you need to keep a balance going and make sure that you don't suffer the imbalance of too much plot armor because everyone is so important to the plot. That is definitely something you have to reflect upon and take home when you are busy agreeing to allow a PC to be the hero. So what are the options? I've kind of skipped ahead a little bit in my enthusiasm on this subject. So is there more than one player who's integral to the plot? Is there a character? Maybe there's twins. Maybe there's, and this has certainly worked in the past, maybe it's like, no, you're definitely the hero. But if you die, you'll discover that you're actually the sister, the twin sister. Maybe it's just a case of, yeah, well, you happened to die and the sword happened to be lying next to you, and when you picked it up, it had imprinted on you, so you're now the chosen one. Apparently that was the not chosen one that just died. Yes. Oops. Oh well, hopefully you are the chosen one, and you will be able to defeat the Matrix, because otherwise we're going to run out of little blue and red pills, really. So is it transferable? If the character dies, can you transfer it to somebody else? And I think you can. And something that you could do, which could be, I think, quite interesting, is if the lead PC, if the hero PC dies, perhaps the fellow PCs need to go on a quest to try and find out what to do now. If Luke was obliterated or if Han Solo was destroyed, I'm not going to do any spoilers. If those kinds of things happened, you then go, okay, well, what's next? How does this change my campaign? Well, it just means you have a regular campaign with regular characters who don't necessarily have a lead status, an integrated status. Don't panic. Let them go and discover the information that the PC had and that died with the PC. Turn that in itself into an adventure. They take the body to a funeral pyre, and there they discover, as the body burns, a ghost that walks up and says, I remember when it was a much different time, more civilized age. All those kinds of things. Remember, it is only the tip of the iceberg is what you're going to give that player anyway. So yes, you're integrated, you're part of the big bad. You know that the king, who is your father, is trying to take over the neighboring country. But you're only giving the player just a little bit of the entire plot so that they can use that. They do need to experience, and they do need to have more knowledge perhaps than, say, some of the other PCs, because they've grown up in that kingdom, they've grown up in that space. So if Leia wanted to run a coup, why am I on Star Wars? Let me choose somebody else. If Sherlock Holmes, for example, wanted to take over London, he could, because he knows most of the secrets. He knows lots of the secrets. Watson, who has been working with him for many, many years, might become the PC character that is now fighting against an evil Sherlock. Watson only knows the tip of the iceberg. He doesn't know everything that Sherlock knows, but he knows a lot more than, say, Lestrade or some of the Baker Street boys, who would possibly be the other PCs in that particular game. That sounds quite fun, actually. Anyway, so the idea is that you don't give them all of the information. And the other thing, of course, as well, is to keep it short and sweet. Don't give them too much information, and yeah, just keep it short and sweet so they know certain things. They get shut out of rooms and meetings. Don't give it all to them, because otherwise they've got too much power, in which case then, well, they can just take over and stop it right away. Hint, nibbles, tidbits here and there. As they meet with great Aunt Gaither, they understand that perhaps the father, yes, he was invading the other country, but he might have a book which is somehow telling him the future. So then it becomes a little bit at a little bit and a little bit at a time, rather than just, well, you saw your father using this ancient book which was prophesizing the future, and so he was correcting events to make sure that the future he wanted was the ultimate outcome, and that's why he's doing stuff. Don't do that. Don't do that. Give them little bits at a time. and then let them discover that, because otherwise the adventure's over and done with. Now, also you need to bring balance to the Force. There must always be balance, even though they desperately try and bring about an imbalance when they find the Sith. So balance is what it's all about. Mix up your adventures. Some adventures must be plot-based. Obviously, use the plot adventure plot planner that you can get from our website. Free download. Go and have a look at it. Or you can find it on World Anvil. Sorry, I'm being attacked by a hare. What are you doing, you horrid thing? Don't you hate that? They kind of get between your glasses and your eyeball, and you kind of like, anyway. So mix up the adventures. Make sure that you definitely do mix up the adventures, and don't try and link it all together. So don't oversee, don't overlink. Just have some adventures that are focused on the other characters. Again, it's just important to do that. Don't overpower the character. So she might be the princess of Alderaan. What did that get her, apart from an immediate position on the Council of the Rebellion? Really, nothing else. Not really. We didn't ever see her private quarters and that kind of thing, although she did have the ability to command troops and things. So, okay, so power came with some perks there, but the idea is that you don't give them too many perks. If they're going to rebel against their father, and the father is the king, the father might cut them off. So don't overpower them. Share the love. I've already said that multiple times. Let the other players know that their characters are important, and create mini little series of adventures, so sort of mini campaigns within your bigger campaign, where it is all about the other players, where the hero is not being involved necessarily. And then make sure that there are NPCs for everyone. If you have Aunt Gaitha, who is this weird character for our lead hero, you need to have an Uncle Beon, Aunt Dolly, as well as several others for all of the other characters, so that everybody feels as if they're involved, as if they're integrated into the story, and has a value to contribute to the game, because it can cause a major imbalance. So on the whole, if you have a player who comes to you and says, I want to be a hero and I want to do this, I would say go for it. Maybe once. You've got to experience it, see what it's like, trying to have a much more integrated story than perhaps you would normally have, where you have a bunch of ragtags who get together and happen to save the world. By putting this kind of link together, you can create some absolutely amazingly wonderful stories. There's no doubt about it. There are pitfalls, but if you make sure that everyone's pretty much got the same influence, pretty much got the same power, and that the character who is integral is not necessarily integral, I think you should be all right. How do you do it? Do you allow your players to be absolutely vital to the entire plot? Do you put that much pressure on them? Do you allow that much power? What do you do? Leave your comments below so we can discuss and unpack and share and learn and all sorts of other things. So do that. And until next time, I wish you and yours the very happiest of gaming. In order for you to be absolutely integral to this channel, that's so bad. I'm so sorry. This is a thing now that we're doing, as you may have noticed on some of the videos. And it's about making more time for the Patreons down below to get their names going through, and also to remind you that if you found this video useful, hit that like button. It's a good metric for us to see that people actually like the stuff that we're doing. If you haven't hit the Goblin Bell, that will remind you of stuff that's coming up. And then, of course, finally, hit that subscribe button if you want to join our massive legion of fans who really, really support the channel, so that you will see it on your little sidebar thingy. Wait, which way is it? It's whichever way it is. You'll see it on your sidebar popping up with these little red numbers going, watch me, watch me, watch me, watch me. And let's be honest, we've got time to watch a lot of different things, don't we? So make sure that you have time to watch How to Be a Great GM.